Hi, I'm Rajnish.
And I'm Brigid,
Welcome to Terra Science.
the podcast where reality matters.
I'm a plant scientist and I've been working towards organizing different kinds of networks to bring research and science not only to industry but also to community colleges and schools. So connecting research opportunities for education as well as R&D. And today we are going to talk about one of those projects.
Awesome. So today's program that you guys are talking about is the BEST program.
That's right. We call it BEST program, Biotechnology Education and Specialized Training. It's a program that I started as a part of my company, i-Cultiver. And the program provides a year round internship, paid internship opportunity to students. We are working with Contra Costa Community College at the moment. And during the semester, there is actually a laboratory at the college on campus where students can participate. And the projects come from industry or universities and are funded so we can pay the students for their time and they get involved with real time research which is going to have an impact in industry as well as academic research.
Awesome. So for you three, thank you guys for joining us. How about we get short introductions from everybody before we learn more about the program?
That sounds good. How about we start with Alexis?
Okay, my name is Alexis Ortiz. I was in the Air Force for 7 years. And after the Air Force, I transitioned to college to get my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. And I just got accepted into Cal Poly Pomona for my bachelor's program in chemical engineering. So I'm super excited. And on top of that, I really wanted an internship in scientific research before I transferred over to Cal Poly. And so when the BEST program got brought up to me through the Science Excellence Center at Contra Costa College, I really didn't want to pass up the opportunity because of the experience that they were offering. I know it was going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity and a very unique opportunity, and so I got my resume ready, I got my cover letter ready, and I applied. And I asked my professor in physics and mathematics to get me a letter of recommendation. And I was later accepted for an interview. And so I was able to get the internship that I so much wanted before I transitioned over. But that's my bio.
That's great. I just want to add something else, which is Dr. Krolikowski, Dr. Katie
Oh,
Krolikowski.
yes.
Uh, she is very instrumental in the BEST program, and without her, this won't be possible. Dr. Krolikowski teaches biotechnology at Contra Costa College, and she and I have been working together on this for several years. We've known each other for a long time, and we'll put links to her information and videos of her biotechnology program in the links below. So I just wanted to mention that. And Robert and Pratigya are her students. Robert, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Robert Reed. I'm a Contra Costa College student. I guess you can say I'm a returning student at this point. I was at Contra Costa College. I got my AAs from there. I got a few different AAs, and then I went to UC Davis, got a BA in history. While in the UC Davis, I used their transfer program to go down to UCLA for a semester because I really wanted to be a screenwriter. And while down there, I was thinking, oh God, I might have to get a backup plan just in case this doesn't work out. Because if you throw a rock in Hollywood, you will hit a writer. So I came back to Contra Costa in order to do something in the sciences. I initially went for nursing, but then they rolled out those cadavers, and I said, this just might not be for me. And so I switched into biotechnology. And actually, the first course that I took was Dr. Krolikowski's Urban Tilth Project. That's how I was introduced to biotechnology, and I kind of jumped into the deep end with it since we were exploring some, I would say, some really upper level techniques, PCR techniques, DNA purification, electrophoresis. Like I just really jumped head first, and I think that that kind of helped me because while it was hard, I got the practicum while also getting the theoretical. So I was reading the book, but I also got the what the real life component of it. And while taking those courses in order to get the biotechnology AA degree, Dr. Khanna, as I know him, Professor Khanna, he was one of the professors for one of the lower division courses. And throughout just my academic pathway, I had been asking both Dr. Krolikowski and Professor Khanna if there were any internships for people who were incoming, very new, very green incoming students to biotechnology. Is there any way that we can, for us to get into the field without having the BA level degrees? And I would like to think that I had something to do with the best program being started. Hopefully,
Yes,
like
no,
he'll confirm
Robert likes to take all the credit for it. That's okay. Robert, of course, I think it was your interest and also good ideas. So it was definitely because of you and other students who expressed interest in the biotechnology program, we started to think how we could put it together. So yes, you did have a role to play there. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'll take that.
right. Okay, and
That's
Pratigya.
great.
Hi, I'm Pratigya Khatiwada. I'm an international student from Nepal. I recently moved to US. It has been like over 1.5 years that I moved in US. I first came to East Coast and I studied there as a major in engineering physics for over a year. And due to some health issues and some other reasons, I had to move. So I moved to California and then I got admitted in Contra Costa College with a major in biotechnology. I always had interest in biomedical engineering when I was in my like back my home country, and due to some like lack of education and lack of like the broad vision there, I had to move because I had to keep going in life and I had to like explore things that I wanted to do for myself. So I moved here with that mindset and vision on myself. And I chose biotech because I think biomedical engineering and biotech was like kind of related. So without any like delay or something, I just like choose my major as biotech in Contra Costa College, and by like choosing biotechnology major, Dr. Krolikowski was the best professor I could ever get. She was the one who made me introduced to all those like Robert said, the PCR and the DNA and everything. I was introduced to all the like technology field, and so I think that took my interest. And she mentioned the internship i-Cultiver, and then I think I'm joining this little early. I think it's too early for me without knowing anything, but I'm really interested and excited to join this to get to know more about biotech. And I have not even planned what I'm gonna do in future, so I might change my decision if this comes out best for me.
Okay,
Awesome.
well, that's
So, and I was going to say, and all three of you guys, this is the beginning of your internship. So, we're going to try to do another podcast when you guys have finished the internship later in the summer to just see how your experience was as well.
that
But
means that means
I,
you'll have to work hard and show us what you did during the summer.
and I have a question real quick. I don't know if I'm going off topic already, but will all three of them be able to work on the same projects, or will they all have different projects going on?
So that's a really good question. We what the way the internship is organized. So during the whole year, the internship actually occurs at Contra Costa College on campus, and the projects come and there are multiple projects. So all of them work together on multiple projects, and that's actually important because learning is a collaborative process. So they all work on all the projects. Although sometimes we do assign one project so that they become in charge of it, so that if some things are lagging behind, then I know who to go and ask. So there is responsibility given, but they're all working on all the projects. During the summer, it's going to be slightly different, and that's what Pratigya was talking about. She just joined recently, and during the summer, what we do is we set up or we connect with universities. So we have connected with Carnegie Institution for Science at Stanford University, and they are actually going to be hiring um, Robert and Alexis for a part-time internship, and i-Cultiver or BEST program will manage that along with the host professor at Carnegie Institution. So those projects will be for them. The reason Pratigya is not part of it is because she, like she mentioned, she's a foreign student, and so she has she's can only be hired by Contra Costa College. So she will continue to work on internship program at the Contra Costa College, but she'll be collaborating with both of them. So she'll be learning from them as well what they're doing at Carnegie. And then some of the work will also be done in collaboration with Dr. Kent McHugh, who is at Agricultural Research Service at the USDA. So they will be getting a really amazing exposure to agricultural research at the government side, at the academic side, and at the industry side, all in these two
Great.
months.
That sounds awesome.
So maybe you can tell us now what your goals are. I know, Pratigya, you said you don't really have things decided yet, but maybe Robert and Alexis can tell us, and maybe in the meantime you may come up with something as well, Pratigya. But yeah, tell us what your goals are and how does you think the BEST program fit in with your future goals.
All right, so I think one of the things that I talk about with my team here is I plan on jetpacking off to Mars to do a biodome. But in
Awesome.
seriously, I think my interest exists on two opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're both research and development. So on one end, it's the I'm very interested in genetics. I just love genetic research, and I was reading. I think it popped up on my Twitter timeline or somewhere where they said that they may have found the reason for SIDS. So I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And then on the other side of the spectrum is I'm also interested in small footprint living and also renewable agriculture and fresh water. And so one of the things that I really love about working with Dr. Khanna is that, he is so abreast of what's going on in agriculture that he could really impart a lot of knowledge onto me and then also help me choose which direction I want to go in. So far, I've been having a lot of fun. Working in the greenhouses, it's like you experience all four seasons at the same time, but it's so much fun. And the more that I'm in the greenhouse, the more that I get to work with these plants. I think I'm slowly creeping over towards like doing agricultural studies and stuff like that. And so the time that I spend in the BEST program, I'm hoping that by the end I'll have a clearer direction of where I want to take my biotech career.
Great.
That's very cool.
Cool. So I'll
Alexis?
go next. So what I was for my future goals is pretty much to get my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and then to go into the pharmaceutical industry. But if I do have the chance to pursue my master's program in chemical engineering, then I'll continue my research. And what I want to do with one of my research projects is I wanted to incorporate like pollen and people's allergies to pollen because I know that's a really big area in California that people have issues and struggle with is their seasonal allergies here. And so, to better understand plant biology and how chemistry goes into that, I actually need that hands-on experience because, I can take one class in biochemistry, but that's just not going to be enough for me to get that deep understanding of how plants work and how they interact with each other, but more than anything, how they interact with the humans, and how that pollen is going into our systems and causing these runny noses, itchy eyes. And like for me, when I was younger, my allergies were so bad that I had asthma attacks, and so it's different for everybody who has allergies, because Dr. Khanna even told me about this. It's based on their individual immune system, and some people's immune systems can be compromised, and that alone could make the difference on how bad of an allergic reaction they have to something. And so, all this research that Dr. Khanna is doing, especially like when he talks about things like the spoticule and how something, on a pixel level can make a huge difference to everything that's going on around it. Because we, like he always says, that two objects can't occupy the same space. And so, you know, just getting all this information, getting all this exposure, this is all going to be able to feed into the research that I want to do on the pharmaceutical side. But more than anything, it's, providing medications that actually hopefully one day can just be an all-around cure for people, because there's no such thing as a cure in modern day medicine. And so, having that experience from our ancestors who use natural herbs and medications to remedy themselves from whatever diseases that were causing them ill. I want to pull that out of the plant and put it into the medication so people can have, an overall more beneficial experience with the pharmaceutical industry, instead of the side effects may include your stomach acid might bleed through your stomach or something like that. So that, those are my goals, or, to hopefully incorporate all these research techniques into the future research I do.
Okay, great, Alexis. Just to point out, the sporticule part is about consciousness, and that's a hypothesis. It'll take a while to turn that into any medication or medicinal application. But thanks. We recorded a separate episode on that, so if anyone is interested in learning that, they can look up. So Pratigya, did you want to tell us anything, or you're going to explore how the summer goes?
So with this internship, I want to learn the best from the best program. So my future goals is actually like from the very beginning it was biomedical engineering. But with this best program, I want to learn what's best for me and what will best fit in with myself. And I just want to learn and explore like all the lab. Like I was really interested in doing lab work with Dr. Krolikowski. So with that interest, I joined this internship. So I just want to learn the best from it and just keep going on.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Awesome. Very
So,
cool.
Bridget, did you have
I,
any question for them?
yeah, well, I did have another question, kind of both for them and for you. What kind of projects? I know Robert mentioned working in the greenhouse,
Mhm.
so I'm curious what type of projects you have going on in the greenhouse. But also, Raj, if you have ideas of what future projects might be coming up as well, that would be interesting to hear about.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the few projects that we are currently working on. The one in the greenhouse is testing an industry commercial product. It's called Azomite, and we are testing how Azomite improves tomato production. We've already published on that, and we are working on another manuscript. And this work is in collaboration with the company Azomite, as well as a laboratory at UC Berkeley, Dr. Britt Koskela, who works on microbiomes. And so we are collaborating with the lab at Berkeley and with the industry, and we're testing how azomite and similar products can help plants overcome drought, which is a big problem in California, as we know. And California produces a lot of food. So the work in greenhouse is directly application, and along with the azomite, we are testing some bacteria that were developed in Dr. Koskela's lab as well. So there are these two, and then there is some other research with a small plant and Arabidopsis. So there's a lot of work at the greenhouse, and we work at the Albany location of USDA, where we rent space in the greenhouse. So there, we are able to work there. Then, in addition to those projects, we have two projects at Carnegie Institution for Science at Stanford University, and these will be done through an internship in collaboration with Dr. Xiong Wang, who's the director of the plant biology department there. So, along with him in his lab, we'll be looking at basic research, studying a protein called phototropin, and what other proteins does phototropin interact with. So they will learn immunoprecipitation, they will learn immunobiology in a way with using plants to identify how that protein works in the plant. How do plants bend towards light? It's a really exciting project, and it's something that I've been interested in a very long time. In addition to that, the second project at Carnegie will be in collaboration with Dr. Roberto Bogomolny, who is actually a retired professor from UC Santa Cruz, but he and I collaborate at Carnegie. We are testing a very special bacteria that we can activate biologically with light, and it forms nodules in legumes like peas and fava beans. And when we activate it, it fixes more nitrogen for the plant from the air. So you don't have to apply nitrogen fertilizer, and it increases yield. So these three projects are the main ones that we'll be working on. All of them will be working on at some level throughout the summer. And then in the future, we are looking at doing gene expression analysis in response to some of the amendments like azomite. So what we will do is we'll apply these products and see what if the plant alters its expression of its genes in response to these products, to understand how these products actually work in real life or in real world. So these are the broad projects, and so maybe you guys can tell us, what parts of these projects interest you. And all
Um,
these are new for Pratigya. Yeah.
yeah, these are really new for me. So while we were doing all the PCR and the gel map, all those things we're doing, the DNA, the DNA that we see while we were like giving the UV lights on it, that really interests me. Like how a small drop of like liquid can make a big difference in like differentiating different bacteria that we have in plants. So that's what we did over this semester while we learned. So we just learned different bacteria that were present in the soil, and then later while seeing it, that really interests me, like how a small thing can make a big difference in like a big species of plant. So I was looking forward to going into the depth of it.
Cool.
Okay, so I know that I probably should say the either the Vadazyme or the Azomite project, but the way that the plant consciousness project was explained to us when we first started that, and seeing how plants bend towards light, like that one, I have particular interest in that just because it sounds so cool. I really want to see what's going on at the microorganismal level, and so I
Yeah.
think that that's probably the project that I'm most interested about at this moment.
Very
Okay.
cool.
So the project I'm most interested in is the one that Dr. Khanna just mentioned about the plants being able to grab nitrogen from the air, you said? That one
Yeah.
seems really interesting because nitrogen is a really crucial nutrient that all plants need. And if there's a way for plants to be able to make that conversion over to where they're able to grab that
It's
nitrogen
just
from
through
the,
bacteria. Yeah, but
huh?
it's done through bacteria. It's done through
Oh,
bacteria,
so
association with bacteria.
it's gonna be the beneficial bacteria. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So, just getting to know how that process actually happens within plants and being a part of that research, but also the one with the plant consciousness. That one's a really interesting project that we got going on, but also we're going to be doing the DNA extraction as well. So I'm really interested in these three projects, especially the fact, because right now we're working with the azomite and the vitozyme, and those are really two important projects. And without those two projects, like, those are like the steps for what we're going into next. And it's a really insightful experience just to be able to see how this science all happens from the inside, instead of just being a consumer, and reading a label and or reading a technical manual and be like, oh, this is how they did it. We're actually a part of the engineering side of what's going on behind the science.
Yeah, good. I just want to clarify one thing. The plant consciousness part is a
Mm.
totally different project. So they both deal with blue light and phototropism. You will be involved with the plant consciousness project a little bit, but that's That's a slow going, a separate project. What we're talking about is actually using or identifying other proteins that are involved in phototropism, so that is separate from plant consciousness. But I'm glad you're interested in that one as well. So we'll be working on all of these together. So but what do you guys think you will have accomplished in terms of learning, in terms of experience, uh, at the end of the project?
I'll go first this time.
I think
So what I hope to gain, well, is I'm already gaining a whole lot, like especially just getting that hands-on experience, like actually being able to work in a lab, because being a student in a lab and being an intern in a lab are two different experiences. And you know, when you're actually the person who's actually, putting this experiment together, laying everything out so you can get the results, like, that's a whole different experience from you just reading the book and you following the lab procedures and you just kind of going down the list of what you need to do, as opposed to you figuring out what you actually need to do to make the project successful, to make the experiment successful. And there's a lot of ways you could mess that up. And if you don't rely on your peers, if you don't rely on the people who are in that lab that are there to help you with that experiment, something can turn south really fast and can mess up the whole project. And that just could be adding, the wrong amount of gram of a certain chemical compound that shouldn't have been added there in the first place. And, at the end of this, I'm hoping that I can take all this experience with me and apply it to future internships that I'm going to have. And hopefully one day, I can lead experiments of my own someday and apply these same techniques that we're learning here to those future experiments that I want to be a part of, or I, wish to lead. And being a chemical engineer, I just hear that there's a lot of pressure on, if you're a chemical engineer leading in a lab, because a lot of people look towards you for information, and a lot of people look towards you to be able to do the right thing and know how to do the right thing every single time. And getting a broad experience in the scientific community is what it's going to take to be that type of person. And I'm really grateful that Dr. Khanna has given us this opportunity, and Dr. Krolikowski.
Great. Well, thanks. That's good.
Thank
Robert?
you. Yeah.
So, like I mentioned earlier, part of what I hope to get out of participating in the BEST program is just kind of direction for where I would like the biotechnology career to go. But I'm kind of hesitant to say the second part, though, because once I admit it on camera, then Dr. Khanna can hold me to it. But uh, I think that one of the things that has recently clicked for me is that just how to think like a scientist. Like Alexis said, like when you're a student in a lab, I think that you kind of get caught into the okay, the teacher tells you to do this, so you do it. The teacher, they're the ones who have planned out the whole experiment, so all you have to do is do the steps. But now that we're actually in a position to where we're in an internship and we have to think about these projects as our own, there's a certain amount of ownership that we have to take over these the projects that we're working on. It's like we have to ask ourselves, okay, what is the overarching question that we have for this experiment? And then how do we plot that out from start to finish? And we're really learning how to think like scientists think through a project from beginning all the way to end. And then once we've collected all of our data, how do we then explain our findings? So I'm very interested in how maybe like just how do I want to say this? Maybe building on that, like really stepping into my independence as a scientist. I can actually say it. I'm going to be a scientist.
Excellent. You will be.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to add here. I know Pratigya has been a little bit quiet, and actually she just started last week. So this is actually the second or third time we are actually meeting, and so that's why Pratigya has a lot of things she's absorbing. There's a lot of information. She's doing really well with that. So Pratigya, keeping that in mind, and I know you're just starting and there's a lot information you still need, but do you have some thoughts on what you think you might get out of it?
hmm So, while in lab, while I was like a student of Dr. Krolikowski in lab, I did make a lot of mistakes, and this is my best. Like, this is my first internship that I'm gonna do. Like, I just used to heard from people like, "Hey, I was in internship for this amount of time, and I did this and this." I just used to hear that from people, and this is actually like my first one. I make meet like a lot of mistakes in that, so like I have my colleagues which who can help me and who have a lot of experience. I'm just like expecting that, and also like with Dr. Krolikowski and Dr. Khanna, I might get a lot of help in building my future. Like in other interns, I don't know how I'm gonna do in this internship, but I'm gonna do my best for this, and I'm gonna learn a lot for my other internships that are about to come. So I'm just really hoping for the best.
Great. Well, good. That's all great. And I just also want to say thank you to Dr. Krolikowski again, Dr. Katie Krolikowski, who put together the biotechnology program to begin with. And then, it's been great to collaborate with her to build this BEST program. And this is the first cohort of the BEST program. We are going into the first summer internship program. So lots of exciting things. We'll record another one at the end of the summer, and I think Dr. Krolikowski will be able to join us then. So, Bridget, did you have
Yeah.
any more questions for them?
No more questions. I just wanted to say that I'm excited for you guys. I really, I'm glad I've gotten this chance to hear about your guys' passions and also learn more about the BEST program, because you guys are going to be the future of this industry. So that's super exciting. And yeah, I'm excited to hear you guys come back in a couple months and see what's new. So thank you guys for being a part of the Terra Science podcast.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you, guys.
lastly, if you guys are listening, please like and subscribe. It means the world to us. Share this podcast to anybody that you think might be interested. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, and
Bye.
we'll have the link to the BEST program
Yes.
underneath. So if you want to apply for the BEST program, there'll be a link. There's an application process and interview. So get in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.